everyone. Well, I've had so many people email me and tell me that you can't grow salad greens in the heat. Well, I'm here to tell you today, yes you can. Stick around, we're going to plant some together today. Well, we've had triple-digit temperatures here in Southern California this week, and you can see the garden behind me is covered with shade cloth to protect the vegetables from the heat. Now, in the heat of the summer, lettuce doesn't do too well. You can see here I've got some lettuce that is bolting, going to seed. It's going to be bitter and not too good for eating anymore. However, there's no reason why you can't have those fresh, tasty salads all summer long. The key is the variety of greens that you plant. So today we're going to plant some heat-tolerant greens so you can have those fresh, tasty salads well into the summer and even into the fall. Now, the key to growing your fresh, tasty salads in the summer is the variety of greens that you plant. You have to pick greens that are going to hold up to the summer heat. 90 degrees Fahrenheit, 100 degrees Fahrenheit, and keep on going so that you always have some fresh, tasty greens to harvest. So these are the greens right here that are the heat-tolerant greens. They're quick and easy to grow. We're going to mature in about 6 weeks, so it's definitely not too late to get some started here now in the mid-season for a later in the summer harvest and even some fall harvest too. Now, if you're like me at this point in the growing season, your garden beds are full. So I'm going to grow my heat-tolerant greens right here in this container. And it's really easy just to pop up a container to expand your growing space. So this is a Smart Pots big bag round raised bed. It has about 13 square feet of growing space. Gives me a lot of room to grow my heat-tolerant greens. And I do want to thank Smart Pots for partnering with us on this video. You guys know how much I love growing in Smart Pots. The fabric is breathable, which really does help keep the plants cooler in the hot summer. And in plastic containers, the roots tend to get overly heated and stunted, and the plants just don't do as well. Remember, don't cut corners when it comes to your potting mix and use your garden soil. You want a nice, loose, fluffy potting mix. I'm using good dirt here. It's full of good nutrients and is really going to get my plants off to a good start. I've got my container here filled with good dirt potting mix. I'm just pre-moistening it down before I get my plants in, and that really will help the plants retain water and get them off to a really good start. So mix it in and water it down. Now that I have my container filled with soil, I'm going to install my drip irrigation. You really do want a separate drip irrigation system for your containers because they do have different watering needs than the rest of my garden. And I've got videos on how to install drip irrigation in containers so that you know exactly what to do. Now that we have the irrigation in, it's time to get the plants in. Now this is where a lot of people go wrong. They don't plant greens that will hold up to the heat. So to take the guesswork out of it, I've made it really easy for you and created a heat-tolerant greens seed collection. There's 5 varieties in here that will hold up well to the heat, 2 varieties of kale, a red Russian kale, and a blue Scotch curled kale. Kale is a tremendous superfood, super tasty, and really takes the heat. Now we're also going to plant some chard. Where's my chard? Here it is. I don't know if you've ever had chard, but we love it in smoothies and salads. It's so, so tasty. And we're also going to plant a heat-tolerant variety of spinach. Now usually spinach is a cool weather vegetable, but this New Zealand spinach is very hardy, very heat tolerant, and the great thing about it is a lot of these not only are they heat tolerant, but they're also cold tolerant. So you can grow them all summer long, and if you live in the right climate, they'll last you all winter as well. So let's go ahead and pop some of this beautiful red Russian kale right in the middle of our garden bed. Now I started these from seed about 4 weeks ago, but you can also plant seeds directly in your containers or in your garden beds. So these are in the little Smart Pots transplanters while they've been growing here. And I'm just gonna pull them out and just pop it right in the middle here. You can see this soil, the good dirt soil, is nice and loose. It's really easy just to set this plant right down here in the middle. Now kale really does well in full sun, but you can also plant it in partial sun. And it won't grow quite as big, but it'll still grow very nicely. So let's actually pop in this other one right over here. So we're just going to plant a nice little selection of kale in the middle. Gonna grab some of the blue curled Scotch kale, which is such a pretty variety. Now, a lot of people aren't big, huge kale fans, but it's really tasty if you pair it with some fruit. Once it gets ready to harvest, you can de-stem the leaves, make a nice, fresh, tasty salad, throw some apples in there, throw some pears in there or some berries, throw a nice fruity dressing on top, and it is just super tasty. Doesn't that kale look absolutely beautiful? Now let's go ahead and pop some chard in here as well. And this is the Eldorado Chard. I just love how the stems look. It is such a beautiful green. And the great thing about a lot of these greens is that once they kind of get a little raggedy in the heat of the summer or in the cold of the winter, you can cut them off right here at the base and they will regrow. So these seeds are a really good investment. And I am running a sale on my website right now, 15% off all of my seed collections with the code Midsummer, and the sale is going to run through Monday, July 15th. So now let's pop in some of this New Zealand spinach. You can see this is a nice sturdy leaf, and this spinach likes to kind of trail along your garden beds. So I'm actually going to plant it back here along the edge so that it can kind of trail over the edges of the container. Now, some people have trouble starting New Zealand spinach from seed, but what you can do is use a heat mat to germinate it indoors to really get it growing fast. Now remember, these are heat-tolerant greens that will stand up well to the hot temperatures of summer. So you're still going to be able to grow those fresh, tasty salad greens that you crave. Oh, they're just going to taste so, so good. And they're going to keep on trucking in the heat. Well, this is going to be exciting. I can't wait to hear from you guys in the comments how well your heat-tolerant greens are growing and how you're enjoying your fresh, tasty salads even during the summertime. Remember, it's not too late to start planting. You can pop seeds right in your garden beds or get off to a quick start and start some seeds indoors. And these will be ready to plant outside about 2 to 3 weeks after starting seeds indoors. I do have some Paris Cause romaine lettuce also in my heat tolerant greens collection. If you are going to grow lettuce in the summertime, make sure it's a heat tolerant variety. Most varieties like the cooler weather, but the romaines do really well in temperatures up to about 80 degrees. Little tip here, plant yourself some romaine lettuce in a little container. That way you can put it in the shade when it gets over 80 degrees, or you can even bring it indoors to protect it from the hot sun. So I'm going to water my plants in. I've got some Vermistera worm tea and some Good Dirt plant food here in my watering can. Get them off to a good start. Look at those colors. Don't they look absolutely beautiful? Thanks so much, Smart Pots, for partnering with us on this video, and thanks to Good Dirt for supplying the soil. Remember, the key to growing those fresh, tasty salads, even when it's hot out, is to plant heat-tolerant varieties. So grab a heat-tolerant green seed collection on my website and comment below. Let me know how it's going. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next video.